In Lesson 3, we talked about working with your direct reports or your own team. In Lesson 5, we talked about working with other production teams. For today's lesson, we're going to talk about working with your boss. Production, like any other department in animation, has its own hierarchy. Working with your bosses will differ a bit depending on how your studio structures their production team. Here are a few key items to keep in mind when working with your superiors in production. The first thing to keep in mind when working with your superiors is to relay information clearly and succinctly. When reporting to your boss, make sure the information you're presenting, whether verbally or written in an email or report, is succinct and clear. Start with the facts, and when invited, move on to your opinion. Absolutely use numbers and stats where you can to support the information that you are presenting. Our superiors need to know what the problem is, what's at stake, and what you suggest. Do not bring your boss a mess to clean up. That's your job. You should be prepared to discuss the issue, and you should also be ready with at least 3 different solutions to solve this problem. Your boss can then weigh in and affirm which is the solve to go with, or they may offer a solution of their own. The second item is to remember to ask for help. You should absolutely ask for help when you need it. It doesn't need to be a whole thing, nor does it show any incompetence to merely ask for assistance. Your boss can't help you if they don't know what's going on. They are not mind readers. In nearly all of my previous roles, I would check in with my superiors multiple times a day with questions, ideas, concerns, etc., and we would go through them together quickly and efficiently as a team. With tight deadlines, no one needs a hero in production. If you need help completing your work in time for delivery, ask your boss. It never hurts to just ask, and if it's a difference between being a day early or a day late, your boss will want to know. Another big thing is understanding nice to have versus must haves. A critical thing in production is knowing what would be nice to have in completing your work versus what is necessary in meeting the deadline. For example, would it be nice to offer your team optional OT so that they can get ahead on this next episode, or is it mandatory in order for you to make your delivery? This question of nice to have versus must have comes back to one of the biggest things in production: prioritizing. We are constantly shuffling priorities in order to keep our shows moving. Distinguishing between these two things is something our supervisors and teams often struggle with, and they rely on production to set the record straight. The next one is to raise your concerns before they happen. I said previously that production is not expected to be mind readers, and we're not. We are, however, expected to be able to see into the future a bit. Using common sense and basic math, we should be able to predict a likely outcome with the factors at hand. For example, based on the fact that half of your team is out sick, you're getting 2 shots a day through in dailies, are you likely to hit your delivery in 2 weeks? Probably not. Even if it seems obvious, cover your butt and report this information. You will have a plan on how to fix this issue, of course, and your boss still needs to know what is going on. In production, we want to be aware of likely eventualities so that we can adjust and plan accordingly. And now a word about boundaries. With your superiors, you are likely privy to a lot of private information about your crew and solving one problem after another. It can make for fast team building. While there is usually a lot of space to vent and commiserate with your production team, remember, they are not your family or your parents. If you have a production team meeting, don't spend 20 minutes ranting about your in-laws or your landlords. There is a level of support that you can expect from your production team, but they are not your exclusive support group. Focus on a solid work relationship first, and if friendship is meant to be, it will happen. I wanted to wrap this video up with a quick discussion on finding a career mentor. Finding a mentor is one of those things that have become really buzzy in recent years. Tiffany Defu, author of Drop the Ball, actually distinguishes between 5 separate groups of folks who might provide guidance and support for your career, including sponsors, sage mentors, peer mentors, promoters, and mentees. I would highly recommend her books so that you can find out more about what role you might hold or need given your current experience. Finding a mentor can be as formal as expressly asking somebody to be that person that you check in with regularly. However, I think it is important to remember that when it comes to mentoring, you can also just observe how people conduct themselves at work. Start with somebody that you admire at your studio. This person doesn't even need to be in production. They could be a supervisor of yours who's just a really good leader. If you have asked someone specifically to be your mentor, make sure you say thank you for their time and guidance. You can treat them to a drink or coffee, send them a thank you card, or write them a message to express your appreciation for the time they took to help you out.